Hi, my name is Jen, and today I thought we could have a little talk about Sweden and nationalism. So let's start with the definition of nationalism. The definition of nationalism is 1. Loyalty and devotion to a nation, especially a sense of national consciousness, exalting one's nation above all others, and placing primary emphasis on promotion of its culture and interests as opposed to those of other nations and supranational groups. Intense nationalism was one of the causes for the war. 2. A nationalist movement or government. I took this definition from the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. In an article by an author at the Merriam-Webster Dictionary website, it is discussed whether or not nationalism could be seen as an insult, while another similar term, patriotism, wouldn't. It is pointed out that nationalism today is heavily associated with white nationalism, like white supremacy. A lot of people today, in my opinion, have a hard time separating the two. Nationalism and white nationalism. When searching the Swedish Google, this comes up. In Sweden, Google does the association with white supremacy for you. When looking through a Swedish social studies book meant for grades 9 through 12, you would expect it to be politically neutral and factual. In this book that I have, the authors can't help themselves from mentioning Trump as aggressively nationalistic, along with some countries in Europe. It's like a leftist tick they cannot get rid of. They must mention the Trump. They call this type of nationalism militant, while calling Swedish nationalism democratic, and then boiling our entire identity and culture down to meatballs and watching Donald Duck on Christmas. When searching online for more schoolbook definitions, I stumbled upon a site called SO-rummet. It's a large online school platform for young students here in Sweden to learn about the school subjects history and social studies. They are very quick to associate nationalism with evil as well. Nationalism is a concept that can be hard to grasp. Still, it seeps through our presence more than we are maybe conscious of. In Sweden, we have for a long time been afraid of the word nationalism. It has often been associated with narrowness, self-importance, a fear of strangers, and racism. They also further down the page ask readers to answer the question of why nationalism is seen as taboo in Sweden. I asked a fellow Swedish YouTuber to delve deep into this and explain his thoughts on the question.
Nationalism is a very easy concept that has for many different reasons been made extremely abstract. The ghost of the Second World War still lingers inside the hallways of our Swedish universities, and without questioning, nationalism does get stapled together with words like Nazism, fascism, and good old white European chauvinism. And the critics of nationalism, those few who actually make an effort, albeit half-hearted, attack nationalism for being nothing more than primitive tribalism poorly dressed as an ideology. So why is nationalism such an ugly word in Sweden and in large parts of Europe? The obvious response is that it's due to our world wars. But here, I'm going to argue that nationalism wasn't actually the primary culprit. National exceptionalism was. A lot of countries have believed themselves to be exceptional. Germany, Imperial Japan, even America, just to name a few of them. And some countries have seen themselves as being so superior and exceptional that they deserve to take riches from lesser people in lesser countries. A belief in exceptionalism has for mankind historically provided excuses for all kinds of cruelty. National exceptionalism is utopian in its nature and has been the possession of countries which believe themselves to be pursuing a glorious destiny, and to reach it, any crime against humanity is a cost worth paying. Qualities that are shared with other countries were downplayed in order to be free to gorge themselves in the crevices of differences and illusions of superiority. Nationalism, on the other hand, is as an ideology fundamentally different in that it is less focused on what is outside of its own borders. The nationalists values the sovereignty, safety, and well-being of his or her homeland. He or she doesn't greedily look abroad, comparing, calculating, planning. They look inwards, towards the familiar, the traditional, the veins that keeps the heart of their nation pumping. There is no desire for an increased Lebensraum, or to create an empire. Only a desire to defend the place they call home. and preserve the formulas for success which have been handed down to them by their forefathers. It wasn't the nationalism of Gandhi or Muhammad Mossadegh and their strive to free their people from foreign oppression, both economic and political, which led to pogroms and mass graves. It was the national exceptionalism of Hitler and his belief that Deutschland über alles. Do you believe in having borders in order to protect what you and your countrymen have created and the people you love? Do you agree that there should exist a sovereign nation state, founded by the people in your ancestral homeland, and that you should be free to form your country's own future through the power of you and your countrymen? If the answer is yes, then congratulations, you're a nationalist. It really is that simple. But in the years to come, we need to decide how will we best preserve and defend what we've been given by those who no longer are here to protect it. We can continue to label all attempts at even trying as being acts of racism and xenophobia, which seems to be our current strategy, or we can try something a little less orthodox. It's your choice. I want to thank Jen for allowing me on her channel. Not only is she kind, she is also smart and realizes that there's strength in numbers. It's been a pleasure.
It seems that Sweden wants to stray as far away from nationalism as possible. It views its own culture as no better than any other. At times, it seems like Sweden doesn't even want to have a culture, claiming, for example, that Swedish meatballs are actually Turkish and there is no native Swedish culture, as stated by the historian Ingrid Lofmfors at the pro-refugee event Sweden Together 2015.
Föreställningen om att det skulle finnas en enhetlig inhemsk kultur som går tillbaka till urminnes tider, den bygger inte på fakta. Vi har alltid stått under influenser utifrån.
There are many examples of this disregard of Swedish culture, tradition, history, and national value. It is strange then that this shame-filled self-view gets accompanied at the same time with a grandiose self-image as a country that can do no wrong. In an article written by Chris Forsne at Ledarsidorna, Sweden's self-image is compared to a Potemkin village. Anders Lindberg, political editor-in-chief at the biggest newspaper in Sweden, Aftonbladet, famously stated that there are no no-go zones. This was also stated by the official Swedish Twitter account sweden.se in this what couldn't be called anything else than propaganda. Another journalist, Henrik Arnstad, stated on a live debate that there has been no migrant crisis in Sweden and the only problem that we have here is a problem with racism. Hold this thought because we will get back to this racism argument soon. The Social Democrats, who have been the leading party of Sweden for decades now, have been saying for years that Sweden is doing really, really well. Their only concern is staying in power. Hence, they have to convince people that there is no chaos. In a recent interview, our financial minister, Magdalena Andersson, was asked about how our unemployment rate had increased so much when the goal for the sitting government had been to have the lowest unemployment rate in the EU. The only answer she could muster was to repeat the phrase that the workforce participation had increased and improved. She stated this exact phrase 10 times. There is an unwillingness in Sweden to see the issues on our streets and the problems that the politicians have caused us. Now, let's go back to the racism argument. What I mean by this is that the media establishment and our sitting politicians want to frame the mere idea that Sweden is doing badly. They want to frame that as an issue with alarmism and xenophobia. There recently was a piece in the New York Times about how right-wing extremism is on the rise here. At this point, it feels bizarre to keep having this pushed down our throats when the violence and the stripping away of our social safety is just outside so many of our doorsteps. How can the establishment keep pushing this idea that the people who are talking about the violence are the issue, and that the issue is not the perpetrators of the violence? Does it have its roots in the national spirit of Sweden that we are better than nobody, but we also can do no wrong? I think so. How dare you even claim that Sweden isn't safe? How dare you claim that our elders are getting mistreated and our children are getting robbed, that drugs are getting sold on our streets, and that young girls are getting gang raped? How dare you claim that? But also, how dare you claim that we even have something to protect in Sweden other than our image? Because as a culture and as a nation, we are better than nobody. I think that Sweden has a lot to protect, both its citizens and the land that we live on that our ancestors built. I would say that I am nationalistic in many ways because of this. I believe in borders. I am proud of my roots. And I want this country to be protected and respected. We deserve politicians who think that there is something beautiful here. We deserve politicians who will open their eyes to the issues and do something about it. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for participating in this video, Swamp Troll. I want you all to go and have a look at his channel and give him a subscribe if you like this type of content. Thank you all so much for all of the comments I've been getting recently and all of the new subscribers that I've been getting. The support for my last video has been insane, and I am extremely happy that my message got across. It is very overwhelming, to say the least. I promise to keep making these types of video. I will be making more videos in English, since most of my subscribers now are English speaking, or at least not Swedish speaking. I want to thank you all for the donations that I've been getting. It really helps out a lot, and my goal is to spend all of my time with doing research, writing, and recording videos. So the donations help me to improve the quality of my videos, and also clears up my schedule so that I can spend more time on my videos. If you want to donate, I have a PayPal and I have a Swish. Thank you all so much. Bye.